very good evening to you, and thank you so much for choosing us to inform you in this edition of TV47 News Tonight. You're just in time for the latest in the world of news, sports and business. But first, here are stories that made it to the top 3 tonight. Ahead on TV47 News Tonight. 4 police officers die in Garissa County after the vehicle they were traveling in ran over an improvised explosive device. The Al-Shabaab terror group is believed to be behind the attack as investigations are currently ongoing. Also ahead tonight. Half of Kenyans are dissatisfied with the implementation of the competency-based curriculum.
We have been accused of introducing the new curriculum in a rush. If you problematize that word rush, then you'll realize maybe we need to rush even more.
The survey also revealed that many Kenyans expressed concerns over the high cost associated with the curriculum. Plus, as Parliament resumes sittings following a month-long recess, opposition lawmakers face a significant challenge as their numbers in both houses have decreased, further solidifying Kenya Kwanza's majority. That's right, TV47 News Tonight on this 14th day of February, the year 2023 begins right now. A very good evening to you and welcome aboard. My name is Kenneth Kazungu. Catherine Simaloi will be handling the sign language interpretation. Now, 3 police officers drawn from the Rapid Border Patrol Unit died and scores others injured in an early Tuesday morning incident after a vehicle they were traveling in ran over an improvised explosive device, or an IED, along the Alango-Araba area in the Garissa-Dadaab highway. Police have launched investigations into the incident, with Al-Shabaab militants suspected to be responsible for the attack. Moige William begins our coverage tonight.
The early Tuesday morning incident, which occurred in Alango-Araba area near Saredo in Garissa County, claimed the lives of 3 police officers after their vehicle ran over an improvised explosive device. According to reports, other 6 officers were injured and are now recuperating at the Garissa County Referral Hospital. The vehicle involved in the incident is reported to have been carrying officers drawn from the Border Patrol Unit BPU. Images from the scene of the incident showed a huge depression in the middle of the road, and by the roadside, an extensively damaged police vehicle overturned. Garissa and counties neighboring Somalia have been experiencing such incidents, which are connected to attacks by Al-Shabaab militants, with at least 30 deaths recorded in the past 6 months. The attack took place days after Cabinet Secretary for Interior Kithure Kindiki visited the troubled northeastern region of the country, where he announced plans by the government to reopen the Mandera border post, which is one of the gateways between Kenya and Somalia. The border point has for more than a decade remained shut following numerous attacks by the insurgent group, which is based in Somalia.
Na hivi karibuni, baada ya mwezi moja, mwezi mbili, ni kuja hapa tufungue hii boda yetu. Boda ikifunguliwa, uchumi wetu utakuwa hapa. Wasomali ni watu wa bidii, ni watu ya biashara, ni watu ya kutafutia mali.
Several such incidents have been reported in different parts of the country. In the month of December last year, 7 attacks were reported. In January, a convoy carrying workers with a military escort was attacked, even as the government promised to better equip officers working in the region with modern equipments.
I want to assure you, the equipment that you have, that you require to enhance your service delivery, we will procure them, and very shortly you'll be getting what you require, because we think that we should not expose you or expose our citizens to insecurity by something that we ought to do. And therefore, my assurance is that you'll be getting more and better equipment, even as you keep this place safe.
Government had indicated it will invest more on intelligence, together with the lead specially trained formed units to remain engaged to keep terror at bay within the country's border. Police in the area have commenced investigation into the latest incident. Moige William, TV47.
Elsewhere, Kenyans gathered at the Nyayo National Stadium in Nairobi for the National Prayer Day following an invitation by President William Ruto to pray for the nation. The event saw attendees from all walks of life come together in an effort to seek divine intervention. The challenges facing the country. Chichi Josephine reports on this national event. We'll be bringing that story to you as and when it is ready, but moving on to other stories making headlines tonight. Of course, we are trying to get to the stories that we've to the education front now, and half of Kenyans are not happy with the implementation of the competency-based curriculum. Now, this is according to a survey conducted by Twaweza, which also noted that a majority of those who took part in the survey pointed out that the high cost of CBC was a burden to parents who are already struggling with harsh economic times.
It is the 7th year since Kenya began implementing the competency-based curriculum, the new system of education that is gradually phasing out the 844 system that has been in use for more than 30 years, was received with mixed emotions. While some embraced the new system, others hoped that the government will scrape it off. In a survey carried out by Twaweza, more than half of Kenyans who took part in the survey are not happy with the CBC. That represents 48% of the respondents.
We have been accused of introducing the new curriculum in a rush. If you problematize that word rush, then you'll realize maybe we need to rush even more because we are trying to catch up with the competencies that the rest of the world are exhibiting, so that then we might just be able to cure some of the social, economic, and political challenges that we are facing.
The high cost of implementing the CBC demands the curriculum places on parents, as well as teachers not being well trained to deliver on the CBC, children getting complicated assignments, and implementation not being clear are some of the challenges that were recorded in the survey.
All challenges notwithstanding, the country is beginning to witness some of the reasons why we thought we needed to change the curriculum. One of them being what Melanie has said, to move away from a curriculum that emphasizes more of knowing to introducing application of that knowledge by way of competency.
Kenyans are desperate for something that they can see giving them results. And when you look at the large mass, which is the members of the public, and particularly the significant majority who are the poor, education has always represented a hope that it will give them something. And yet, when you look at the value chain of education, it's very complex. It's not that you put in today and you see results tomorrow. Unlike when you construct a road and you see traffic flow improving the following day. It's very complex to see results from education. Sometimes, in fact, in this process, going even to be a bit longer because we are taking a phased approach of implementing the curriculum. And as such, it's very easy for people to begin feeling that perhaps we are not really getting the results that we want. And maybe that's the kind of encouragement we need to give to KICD, that where there are convictions, you need to follow those convictions to the end. I have never seen a situation whereby Toyota releases a Raum car, and once it hits the market and the following day, they are recalling back the same vehicle. And I think this one only happens in Kenya, where we are even recalling a curriculum even before we are half into implementing it.
The main changes proposed by the public are reduction of cost on the parents' side, making resources and equipment for the syllabus available, reducing parental involvement, completely doing away with CBC, among others. The respondents to the survey were aware of the Presidential Working Party set up to review the new curriculum and process of implementation, and nearly half are optimistic that the Working Party will achieve its objectives. 3,000 respondents took part in the survey that ran from 3rd to 17th of November 2022. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
On the same education wavelength, and the Teacher Service Commission had a hard time defending the contract between the Commission and health insurance service provider for teachers. Appearing before the Committee on Education in the National Assembly, TSA leadership requested for more time on another designated date to explain phrases in the contract that were heavily questioned by committee members.
You can A showdown ensued at County Hall when TSC CEO Nancy Macharia, Chairperson Dr. Jamlek Muturi and other commissioners appeared before the Committee on Education in the National Assembly to shed light on issues of teacher recruitment, promotions, delocalization and medical cover.
Did you seek their opinion so that they can participate in what is affecting them?
TSC's leadership was put to task to defend the contract between the Commission and medical cover providers, including the decision to decamp to the National Health Insurer and having top private hospitals scrapped off the cover.
From where TSC sits, and I insist on this, Chair, do they think this scheme is working?
These are teachers who are almost in the 50s and maybe almost 60s. And no teacher in that category is attending maternity issues. And you can see a lot of money is slapped in that category that can be used for other purposes.
TSC's Nancy Macharia insisting that the contract was approved by the Office of the Attorney General and asked for more time to explain the contract to the committee, even as the Commission asked for 208 billion shillings for teachers' medical cover.
The majority of the complaints, remember we just signed this contract on 1st of November 2022. It is actually 2 months old. We accept and we know there were issues that were raised throughout the first contract.
When you have such a huge contract, it's allowed, it's huge. But you make sure then, and this also was the advice of the Attorney General, that you have a caveat to get out of this contract. But Chair, I'm asking, can we be invited so that we come with that contract? We go page by page, we bring the letters of advisory from government agencies, and then members can, because I think even members also need to do a survey.
TSC was also hard pressed to explain the recruitment process, promotions and delocalization of teachers.
We recruit more primary teachers, and those secondary teachers who are to teach in junior primary are taken to secondary schools. Because one, those who have been trained to teach in secondary will not find it easy to be headed by somebody in primary. Two, we should focus that when they go to grade 9, we should not domicile grade 9 in primary school and we move it to secondary.
According to Macharia, the recruitment of 36,000 teachers for junior secondary is ongoing, 6,000 of whom will be employed on internship basis and 30,000 on permanent and pensionable terms, even as counties with a shortage of teachers are given priority in the exercise that also aims at bridging the gap occasioned by the retirement of 8,236 teachers by December last year. Sylvia Nyongesa, TV 47.
To some politics now, where the wrangles within the Jubilee party continue to heighten following the Registrar of Political Parties confirming that due process was followed in the ouster of Jeremiah Kioni and David Murathe. Flora Lemuki with the intrigues.
Embattled Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni has dismissed a letter from the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties ratifying the decision by the Jubilee Party National Executive Council to oust some of the party's officials. Kioni saying that the members cannot leave the party without the party leader's permission, who is Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yani ati unaona Uhuru amekaa kwa PG meeting na chama yake ya Jubilee pale na Ruto ndio anasema pale, alafu mwisho amwambie kama Kuria hata hii zima kama vile ulizima chama cha kazi.
The Registrar of Political Parties ratified the decision by the Jubilee Party National Executive Council to oust some parties' officials, including Jeremiah Kioni and David Murathe. In a letter to the Jubilee Deputy Secretary General Joshua Kutuni, Registrar of Political Parties Anne Deritu acknowledged receiving the resolutions reached at during the Jubilee NEC meeting held on Friday, February the 10th.
Pango na mikakati ianzishwe na imeanza kuanzia sasa ya sisi kuondoka kwa Azimio.
Kioni was replaced by East African Legislative Assembly Member of Parliament Kanini Kega, while Murathe was replaced with Eldas Constituency Member of Parliament Aidan Kenan. However, the Registrar of Political Parties has called on the party to solve the disputes within its house, even as dissenting side of the party kickstarts the process to exit Azimio coalition.
That he actually cautions those people who took the documents there that can you also exhaust the party mechanism. So she has received, like you'll be given and you receive, but you have also pointed out clearly you are not within the provisions of your own constitution.
A section of Jubilee leaders led by Kioni say that the move to raid the opposition by William Ruto is part of desperate measures to try and acquire 2/3 of the National Assembly, even as they claim that the Mount Kenya region is shifting gears in the grassroots.
The fear that exists within hiyo serikali au watu ambao wanasema wako kwa serikali ni hii. People in Mount Kenya are exiting the UDA Ablera in numbers on a daily basis.
Flora Limuki, TV47.
Now staying with Parliament and parliamentarians, and tonight members of Parliament allied to the Azimio coalition are crying foul on President William Ruto's push to exert a majority leadership in the two houses of Parliament, terming it as unhealthy for democracy. The MPs are concerned that the president will push contentious constitutional changes like the creation of the office of the official opposition leader and having cabinet secretaries answer questions in the plenary. Apollo Kamau reports on the battle for numbers in the 13th Parliament.
The resumption of the second session of the 13th Parliament will see President William Ruto enjoy a near supermajority in the bicameral Parliament if the latest political realignments are anything to go by. The president's twin raid in ODM and Jubilee camps has given him an upper hand in the bicameral Parliament in pushing for government-sponsored bills and constitutional amendments which require a 2/3 majority approval, a move that has drawn protest from the Azimio camp.
That is not a healthy situation, because you want a parliament that is properly divided, a parliament that can examine the policies of the executive and critique it and come up with other alternatives. If you have a parliament that has a supermajority in support of the executive, then you will not expect parliament to help Kenyans. And that is why we've been condemning some of those moves by the, by the executive and the holder at State House to woo members to join the UDA brigade.
Signs that the numbers will be a game changer when the House resumes emerged over the weekend after more than 20 Jubilee MPs in the National Assembly and the Senate pledged to support the government's legislative agenda in the bicameral Parliament.
I don't think it is the duty of the president to allow Azimio One Kenya to operate. We are in competition, so you must give it to him. The president is in competition with us. It is our duty as Azimio One Kenya coalition to be vigilant, to understand and appreciate that the people of Kenya gave us a mandate through the Azimio coalition and not in a manner that is as convoluted as it is appearing.
President Ruto's allies have dismissed claims that their newly acquired near supermajority dominance is a threat to Parliament's legislative agenda, saying MPs will vote with their conscience.
But if the majority of the people agree what is being done is right, and the Parliament, using its numbers, agrees that should be done, then there we are. We will all assume we have done it for the betterment of the lives of the people of Kenya. So really, I don't think it's going to be tyranny of numbers or that we are the supermajority. I don't think that is.
Members of this National Assembly also tend to be very independent and to have an independent mind. So the supermajority is going to work positively for the president whenever he has a constructive business and whenever he has good ideas that are going to be of help to the nation.
The recent shift by Azimio MPs to the Kenya Kwanza camp will no doubt hand President William Ruto a free hand in passing key government bills in the two houses of Parliament due to the power of numbers. Apol Kamau, TV47 at Parliament Buildings.
Apollo, thank you. Moving on, and Kenyans gathered at the Nyayo National Stadium in Nairobi for the National Prayer Day, following an invitation from President William Ruto to pray for the nation. The event saw attendees from all walks of life come together in an effort to seek divine intervention in challenges facing the country. Chiche Josephine now reports on this national event.
Tuesday, Kenyans from all corners of the country came together at the iconic Nyayo National Stadium for a special event.
Lift your hand in surrender to God.
It was a time to pray for Kenya and seek divine intervention for the challenges facing the nation, in an event attended by prominent religious leaders, top government officials and politicians from various parties.
Today we want to thank God for the people of Kenya that have chosen God to be their God. We want to thank God for the leadership that God has given us.
This coming a day after President William Ruto, during an interdenominational service in Nakuru, invited Kenyans from all walks of life to attend to a national prayer service dubbed the National Solemn Assembly at the Nyayo National Stadium.
Na wale wataweza kuja Nyayo Stadium, wakuja Nyayo Stadium on Tuesday 14th. Tuweze kuombea taifa letu, hasa katika shida hii ya njaa na shida ya ukame, ndio Mungu atupatie mvua na atuonekanie.
Remarkably, the service fell on the same day as the global celebration of Valentine's Day, as attendees gathered at Nyayo National Stadium and donned caps bearing the Kenyan flag, as well as raised the national flag high in their hands. Their prayers were focused on several issues, including the urgent need for rainfall as Kenya continues to grapple with prolonged dry seasons.
Lord, we pray that in our midst you will raise the technocrats who will understand the dream of our president.
We pray for rain, Heavenly Father. We pray that you shall give us, open the heavens for us, so that we can have plenty, so that our farms can produce, so that we can have food in plenty, and so that the people of Kenya can rejoice.
Prayers were also held simultaneously in different counties across the country. Religious leaders in their regions led their congregants in seeking divine interventions for the challenges facing their communities.
God will hear us when we pray today, and we are praying. We prayed yesterday, and we are continuing to pray today. And I want to tell the entire republic that it's only God that can rescue us from where we are today.
According to government estimates, 4.3 million Kenyans are in dire need of food assistance, with President William Ruto assuring Kenyans that the government has already allocated seeds for the upcoming planting season. The seeds will be distributed promptly once the much needed rainfall arrives.
Nataka niwaeleze ya kwamba kama serikali tumefanya mipango yote. Mipango ya mbolea, mipango ya mbegu, mambo yale ambayo yanahitajika, ili tujitayarishe, kwa sababu tunajua Mungu atatupatia mvua na Kenya itakuwa na chakula na tutaondoa aibu ya njaa katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Your Excellency, as we hold these prayers for rain, 5.3 million Kenyans are staring at starvation. More than 2.5 million heads of cattle have died, and the situation doesn't look any better.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Moving on, and Healthcare Workers Union have jointly condemned the Council of Governors for choosing to extend the contracts of universal health coverage instead of absorbing them into the permanent and pensionable plan. According to the unionists, the move by the governors is discriminatory and meant to victimize health workers. Zainab Mohammed with more.
Solidarity forever. Amid the recent announcement from the Council of Governors to renew UHC staff contracts for another 3 years, the Health Workers Union has issued a joint statement criticizing the decision, which they view as discriminatory and demeaning.
While we were expecting within the 100 days this administration to employ 20,000 healthcare workers, what we are hearing is that the 8,550 healthcare workers who are put under UHC contracts and whom the government had indicated they were going to put them on permanent and pensionable, that they want to extend the same contracts for 3 years. And these are exploitative contracts that are irregular and that are illegal.
The furious unionists have threatened to direct all their members to down their tolls should COG not reverse their decision.
Why the employers on those contracts? Because they don't put you on a medical cover, they pay you half salary, you cannot go to school for training, and they don't allow you to join the union in those illegal contracts. So that's like somebody tying your hands and throwing you to swim. Yes. It's killing you. They're killing you. That's the truth.
As health unions, we therefore wish to implore the national government to embrace and implement the principle of equality and the prohibition against discrimination of workers as enshrined on our Constitution and the international charters. Further, we demand an immediate conversion of the contracts to permanent and pensionable establishment for the UHC staff.
The Health Workers Union is now urging the president and his deputy to fulfill their campaign promises of not only protecting the welfare of health workers, but also employing an additional 20,000 healthcare professionals. Meanwhile, Nairobi governor has promised to resolve the NHIF issue raised by Nairobi County doctors on Monday. Sakaja, who asked the medical professionals to get back to work, blamed Nairobi Metropolitan Services for the dispute.
Kwenda kwa barabara itatuangi kitu. Mimi ni mwanasiasa, tunaweza shinda kwa barabara kila siku na nyinyi. What is important, because that cover has been reinstated, daktari, endeni kwa hospitali. We will make sure you're covered. But please don't convert yourselves into something that is not being a doctor. Nyinyi mfanye kazi ya udaktari.
Zainab Mohammed, 247.
Elsewhere, in Kenya is now among the 6 countries in Africa that have reported new species of mosquitoes, which is resistant to drugs, raising the alarm over a possible increase in malaria cases. And as Elizabeth Atieno now tells us, persons living in urban areas have been described to be at a higher risk.
A new species of mosquitoes identified as Anopheles stephensi, which has the potential to increase malaria cases by more than 50%, has been discovered in the Laisamis and Saku areas of Marsabit County, which spans Kenya and Ethiopia.
Most of the malaria in the country, 98%, is transmitted using Anopheles mosquito, the female Anopheles mosquito. Normally, most of it is the Anopheles gambi, SS, what has been routinely that. However, of late in our region, another part of the country, there is a new Anopheles mosquito, the Anopheles stephensi, that has been reported in part of Asia and also in our neighborhood, that is Ethiopia, Eritrea and Djibouti.
The new species of mosquito has reportedly been identified in multiple African countries including Nigeria, Ethiopia, Somalia, Sudan and Djibouti, and is known to favor urban and highly populated areas.
Our population, we have higher population living in urban region. So more of our population now will be at risk for malaria. So it will affect more of our productive population. That's why we are calling it a game changer, and we don't want it to go there.
Unlike other malaria vectors, Anopheles stephensi has the ability to develop in both clean and contaminated water in man-made containers, making it a unique concern. Additionally, this species is known to spread malaria year-round rather than only during rainy seasons.
It breeds in small containers, like the flower pots, like the water containers that you put for collecting waters.
The World Health Organization has issued a stern warning that if immediate action is not taken, the Anopheles stephensi mosquito species could endanger the lives of over 126 million people in 44 cities worldwide. This poses a serious threat to malaria control and elimination efforts.
So if I start with the prevalence of malaria in the country, currently we are at 6% annually throughout the country. Meaning that for every 100% every 100 person in the country, 6 people are carrying the parasites in their blood.
The new species is said to be resistant to several insecticides like mosquito repellents and bed nets, as well as the recently launched malaria vaccine.
We have changed the insecticide from that we use for indoor residual spraying for mosquito control in the country from pyrethroid, and currently the one we are using, the mosquitoes are susceptible. The stephencide that we have that we have been reported from Marsabit County is not resistant to the insecticide that we use in the country.
Malaria is a leading public health problem in Kenya. The disease is endemic in different parts of the country, and almost 70% of the entire population is at risk. Malaria accounts for 13 to 15% of hospital outpatient visits and affects individuals of all ages. It is a major cause of morbidity and mortality among pregnant women and children under the age of 5 years.
And it is in the lake endemic, it is in the Mount Kenya region, whereby we are having less than 1%, that 4 of the counties have started, we have started putting them up for elimination. These are Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Nyandarua and Laikipia.
3.5 million cases and 10,700 malaria-related deaths are reported in the country annually. Those residing in the western region, especially around Lake Victoria, are said to be at a higher risk of being infected.
The highest prevalence in the country is in the lake endemic region. The counties around the lake, there are 8 counties. In those areas, the prevalence is the highest, it's at 19%. In the counties, the 6 counties of the coast region, we are having around 5%. The counties in the seasonal or the northern part of Kenya, eastern part of Kenya, we are about 2 to 3%.
Increased stakeholder collaboration, strengthening surveillance, creating awareness, and investing in research have been described as key areas to focus on so as to prevent the spread. Traditional preventive measures such as draining pools of stagnant water and cleaning bushes also remain highly recommendable in fighting malaria. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
All right, at 9:30, it's time to take a very short break right here on TV 47 News Tonight. We'll be back with many more stories on the other side, and you want to stick around for that.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories. Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Tryson School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
Sienda nayo huko ndani, unaacha hapo kwa luggage ndio uingie.
Ni wacho kwa luggage namna gani nataka kutumia huko ndani? Nimekuja na hii gani ndio inatumika? Hii paketi ama hii kuchota? Kwani serious hii? Bwana wacheni mchezo bwana. Nini?
Karibu customer. Hizi bidhaa unaziacha pale kwenye luggage ndipo ufanye shopping kwa supermarket yetu. Kuchota ni kufanya shopping pekee.
Ni kufanya shopping.
Lima na Hitia Supermarket ndio best. Kwa mara nyingine inakuletea chota kuchota na Hitia Supermarket. Kushiriki shindano la chota kuchota. Duet. Bunawe, Kitale, Bungoma, Eldoret, Kakamega, Kisumu, Busia, Naivasha, Limuru, Nairobi, Thika, Nyeri, Meru, Chuka na Maua. Nunua bidhaa ya shilingi 600 na zaidi na utapewa raffle ticket. Jaza vizuri na utumbukize kwa sanduku iliyo mlangoni. Utakuwa umeingia kwa draw ya kujishindia zawadi. Dahatsumira, pikipiki 21 aina ya TVS, 1130 school fees, TVS, shopping vouchers na vingine vingi.
Bas, ni huku. Saidia mimi.
Chota kuchota imethaminiwa na Kiwi Bacon, Savannah Juice Fruit Vial, My Choice Hand Wash, Zesta Choco Primo, Ketepa, Blue Band, Armcom, Oven Fresh Bread, Nivea, Silent Night Mattresses, Coca-Cola pamoja na Hisense. Shindano hili limeidhinishwa na BCLB permit number 002816. Sheria na masharti kutumika.
Chota kuchota na Hetia Supermarket, na hii motokaa kari smart kabisa inaweza kuwa yako. Unangoja nini? Ingia, fanya shopping yako Hetia Supermarket, uchoto kuchote na hii kari. Hii motokaa inaweza kuwa yako. Mtu anaweza pesha kwa busi.
Hetia Supermarket, a world of choice.
Watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
All right, welcome back and thank you so much for staying with TV47 News tonight. A day after President William Ruto directed a joint operation between the military and police in disturbed areas of the North Rift region, Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome has today led top security officials in a tour of Turkana County to assess the situation, even as some of Turkana residents welcomed the government's move to conduct an operation, with some airing concerns over a planned curfew. Collins Lusweti with more details on that story.
Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome arrived at Kainuk area early in the day, flanked by top security officials, a clear sign that the government is determined to heighten security near the border of Turkana and West Pokot counties, an area that has seen increased cases of banditry attacks and killings in the recent weeks, including the killings of 4 police officers days ago.
We came to Turkana, Kainuk, specifically to ensure that what has been going on here for a while. Recently, our officers were shot. Some officers died. Others sustained injuries. And this is criminality we cannot allow to continue in our country.
A spot check revealed intensified security patrols by police officers in armored personnel carriers and land cruisers between Kainuk and Kakong. Inspector General of Police saying that they will give the bandits no breathing space in a bid to flush them out.
We are going to ensure we deal firmly and decisively with those criminals. They have no option.
Following the start of operations along the Kainuk and Kakong areas, public service vehicles as well as private and commercial ones have resumed operations on the road, with Turkana residents welcoming the government's move to conduct a joint military and police operation in the area.
Nashukuru sana rais wetu kwa kusikia malilio ya wananchi wa Turkana. Jambo lingine nikiongezea, hii wapokoti wako na bunduki ya kutoka Uganda, si ya kutoka hapa Kenya. Wanapitia sehemu za Lale, wanapitia Margaret, wakiingia Kiwawa, wanaingia mpaka Kachiliba. So rais, angalia hiyo mpaka.
In a tough sounding letter, the Cabinet Secretary of Interior Kithure Kindiki ordered all persons across the disturbed areas holding illegal firearms and or ammunition to surrender them immediately and unconditionally within 3 days, failure to which the culprits will meet the full force of the law. The government has further announced a 30-day dusk to dawn curfew to be implemented in the counties of Turkana, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, Laikipia and Samburu. Some of Turkana residents have however aired their reservations about the curfew.
Maneno ya curfew inastahili mahali kama Chepereria, mahali kama Kapenguria, mahali kama Eldoret, mahali kama Kisumu, Nairobi, Nakuru. Hapo ndio curfew inafaa ifanyike. Sisi tulipangwa, my president, tulipangwa kitambo na Pokoti. Ile curfew ambayo tunatumia sio ile ya serikali, ni ile ya Pokoti. Wapokoti walitupatia curfew kitambo kwa sababu sisi tunakulanga mara moja kwa siku. Tunakula saa 7 peke yake. Kwa sababu ikifika saa 12 unaingia kwa nyumba hadi saa 12 kesho asubuhi.
Collins Lusweti, TV47.
Elsewhere, and Parliament resumed business today, with the key business being the constitution of the House Business Committee. Part of its entree is the amendment of the constitutional proposals by Kenya Kwanza government, which was communicated by House Speaker today. Here now is Elizabeth Mutuku with more.
The 13th Parliament has resumed today and is expected to deal with a lot in tray, among them 3 key proposals by President William Ruto. In a memo dated December 9th, 2022, the President had urged Parliament to consider the amendments, including a proposal on the law on 2/3 gender rule principle to pave way for the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule. The proposals are in regard to amending Chapter 9 of Constitution to create the office of official leader of opposition in Parliament. The President had noted that the move would institutionalize governance, strengthen oversight and deepen democracy.
A message from His Excellency the President regarding various proposals, including proposals to amend the Constitution and the standing orders through gender inclusion and affirmative action, establishment of the constituency development, Senate oversight and national government affirmative action funds, establishment of the office of the leader of the official opposition, and the strengthening of parliamentary oversight of the executive.
However, the proposal to create the office of official opposition leader continues to raise rumbles within the political class, with remarks by former Speaker Justin Muturi and the Attorney General on the possibility of creating such office without referendum raising questions. Azimio members opined that the office of official opposition leader and his deputy cannot be created by tinkering some chapters in Constitution, which includes Article 108 and Articles 96 and 97 on the numbers in both houses of Parliament, increasing by 1, as it is opined by AG Justin Muturi, can only be through referendum.
It doesn't matter whether it's an amendment by Parliament or an amendment by referendum. The only thing that is different is that there are certain things that cannot be amended by Parliament without going to the people, which means in terms of initiation and in terms of the process, the principles are the same. It's at the end that you will look and say, are these such that it requires a referendum or can it be done by Parliament? And therefore the principles apply in the same way. Essentially what the Supreme Court was saying is that a sitting president and is essentially an executive branch cannot initiate. If anyone who wants to initiate those changes then must follow what the Supreme Court was saying. If it
is to make a recommendation, a proposal. This proposal is to be considered by Parliament. It can either be accepted or rejected. And unfortunately for BBI, what happened is the President initiated the process by first and foremost appointing the BBI committee. He gazetted it. He then went ahead to gazette the terms of reference. He went ahead to gazette what they were to do, including amending the Constitution. That is why the Supreme Court looked at it and said the President actually initiated the process. This one is a simple letter written by the President in his capacity as the President and possibly in his capacity as a Kenyan, telling Parliament, please look at these following proposals and see whether they can actually constitute constitutional amendments.
The Kenya Kwanza government is said to be pushing for the amendments to Article 108 of the Constitution to have first runners-up in the presidential race and their running mate become minority leaders at the National Assembly and the Senate, respectively. The proposal will also have an impact on Article 97 and 98 on the membership of the National Assembly and Senate, respectively, following the increase in members to 350 and 68 in the National Assembly and the Senate, respectively, to accommodate the opposition leader and his deputy without going to the referendum.
If he believed that he wanted a strong opposition, he would have acted the same. But I don't see him acting as one who needs or wants a strong opposition. He needs to convince Kenyans further.
But according to constitutional lawyer Rarieda Member of Parliament Otiende Amolo, the proposal is likely to be challenged as it offends Article 255 of the Constitution, which outlines matters in Constitution which cannot be amended without a referendum.
Way you can introduce a new person and a new office in the National Assembly and give that office a role without interfering with the role of the National Assembly. It is impossible. There is no way you can increase the number even by 1 without tinkering with the numbers. and it goes back to the sovereignty of the people. When you want to do that, you must go to Article 1 and you must go to the people who are sovereign, and they only must decide whether they are in agreement or not. I am afraid that I do not agree with that interpretation.
Parliament resumes business after a long-term recess, with key among business to be discussed being the creation of opposition office, a proposal which is already causing rumbles within the political class. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47 Palm Building, Nairobi.
Liz, thank you. Moving on, and a bright 16-year-old girl from Adu Ward in Kilifi County who scored an impressive 405 marks in last year's KCPE exams at the Bandacho Primary School is sadly yet to join Form 1 due to her family's financial constraints. Despite her remarkable academic achievement, her family is struggling to pay her school fees, which has hindered her progress.
Meet Sarah Kauchi Naftali, a former student of the Bandacho Primary School who has now lost hope of ever stepping into a dream school. Naftali has not yet reported to Moi Girls High School Isinya, where she was offered a Form 1 spot since her parents cannot afford the school fees required. The last born in a family of 7 has resigned to the manual jobs of crushing stones to make ballast for sale alongside her mother Miriam Rogers, but they say what they get is sadly enough to put food on their table.
Nitwa Moi Girls Isinya na fee structure huko nasema kwa 75,789. Nikiwa nyumbani na msaidia mamangu kufanya kazi za nyumbani na pia kumsaidia kuvunja mawe ili tupate chakula nyumbani.
Following the lack of funds to join Form 1, Naftali is worried that if she does not report to school by February 14th, 2023, a space may be taken by another student, and the thought of failing to become what she has yearned for is depressing her.
Nafasi ya shule kula ambako niliitwa naweza nikaikosa kwa sababu mwisho ni kesho, na nikikosa nitasikia huzuni kwa sababu hiyo ndio shule ambayo ilikuwa napenda nikasomee.
Human rights activist Justin Kitonyo said that hundreds of students in Kilifi County have not been able to join Form 1 due to lack of school fees, noting that this could open up avenues for children abuse and teenage pregnancies in the area.
Nilikuwa namuita tu minister wetu Aisha Jumwa na viongozi mbalimbali ambao wako katika ngazi za hali ya juu wakaweze kujitokeza ili kuokoa maisha ya watoto, hasa wasichana ambao wamekuwa threatened na mambo ya mimba za mapema.
Without access to school fees, the risk of early marriages and teenage pregnancy is on the rise in Kilifi County. Sarah Kauchi is one among many girls facing the possibility of being forced into such situations. Her family is now appealing for well-wishers to come to their aid and help enable Sarah to continue her education.
Mtoto wangu Sarah Kauchi amepita mtihani lakini sijapata namna ya kumpeleka shule. Sasa naomba msaada kwenu. Msaidie ende shule.
Norbert Oduor, TV 47.
As Kenya joined the rest of the world in celebrating Valentine's Day, over 300 expectant mothers from Githurai 45 received a unique gift of Knowledge Focus Hospital trained them on protective and safety measures to ensure safe deliveries.
It is at the SEK Church Shalom Githurai 45 that over 300 expectant mothers were taught on health affairs, including the essence of having a balanced diet. This was as a result of a joint effort between the Focus Hospital and the health workers volunteers.
Tumeamua kuita wamama ambao wanatarajia kupata watoto ili siku ya Valentine ikamilike vizuri. Tuko na wanawake 300 ambao wanatarajia kupata watoto hivi karibuni. Hii 300 tumeweza kuwazawadi.
Tumewafunza maneno ya lishe bora, tumewafunza maneno ya kuangalia zile signs, dalili zenye zinaweza onekana na wakimbie kwa hospitali. Ya muhimu ni kuwa hii hospitali iko na mpaka department ya meno. Hiyo ni shida ina affectingi wa mama sana wakiwa wajawazito. Na ya pili kuna surgeon.
As Kenyans received various gifts from their loved ones to mark the Valentine's Day, these expectant mothers were not left behind.
Wakati mwingi wa mama akiwa mjamzito anataka sana kunywa maji, kwa hivyo tumempea chupa ya maji. Amewapea kitambaa ambacho akitembea sikie ameloa maji ya sweat, anaweza jipanguza.
According to representatives from the Focus Hospital, the expectant mothers were supposed to ensure that each has a card of the National Health Insurance Fund as a medical cover.
Kujifungua normal delivery tumepatia discount from 8,000 to 5,000, na kujifungua through CS tumepatia discount ya kutoka 50,000 to 25,000. Hao ni wale wa mama wamekuja leo kwa hii women conference yetu ya leo, na wale wengine wako na NHIF serikali inasimamia.
On the other hand, there were minimal Valentine activities witnessed in Embu County as many proceeded with their normal activities.
Nimekuwa surprised na Kenya Commercial Bank na nimefurahi. Sasa hapa ile unaona ni keki tunajimburudisha nayo.
Kupenda wale hawajiwezi iwe more important than anything else. To me that is what I'm doing.
According to those who marked the Valentine's Day, this was an opportunity to express love, especially to the less fortunate in the society. Gilbert Nalwa, TV47.
All right, at this particular point in time is where we want to cross over to the world of sports to get a feeling of what has been making headlines in the pitches, of course, in the courts, in the trucks. And my colleague Dennis Otieno now wants to join us to fill us in the latest in the world of sports. Dennis, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Kenneth Kazungu. Now, it is a lot that we've lined up for you in the world of sports tonight. We'll be telling you about the results registered in the Africa Cup for Clubs Championships. That is a hockey competition that is currently, or rather is taking place in the country at the Sheikh Union Park as well as the Nairobi City Park. We shall also be telling you about the Safari Tour Golf Series and the results that were registered in that competition. But to start us off, is Matters Golf and the Safari Tour Golf Series that saw the battle for the top prize in the final leg of the Safari Tour Golf Series intensify. Earlier today, as Muthaiga Golf Club's Greg Snow carded a 3 under par to leap atop the leaderboard in the third round of the competition on his home turf. Snow was in fine form as he surpassed overnight leader Njoroge Mutahi Kibigu, who had early on Monday carded a 4 under par. Speaking after the event, Snow stated that his fine form enabled him to record the good results, adding that he intends to remain focused until the final round in order to maintain his winning run. The golfers will be battling for a top prize of 2 million shillings and a chance to take part in the Magical Kenya Open Golf Tournament slated to begin on 9th to 12th March this year.
Yeah, I mean, good round today. Got back into contention now, leading by 1 going into the next last round tomorrow. Just positives from today. I mean, I think I hit the ball very well. Good iron play this week so far. Just got to keep it going for the next couple of days. Really looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully get the job done.
From golf to Matters Hockey. Now, as the Africa Cup for Club Championships Hockey Tournament entered its day 2 earlier today at the Sheikh Union Grounds and the Nairobi City Park, Kenya Police exhibited their their finesse in the sport as they walloped Tanzania's Moshi Halsa with scores of 10-0. Now, it was a goals galore for the law enforcers as Titus Kimtai scored 4 goals for police in the 4th, 7th, 22nd and 34th minutes respectively, while Matthew Momanyi bagged a brace in the 32nd and 34th minutes respectively. Vincent Odindo, Robert Masibo and Dunstan Wabwire were also on target for police, who extended their winning run earlier on Monday, defeating Hippo of Zimbabwe 1-0. The 2017 silver medalists are now expected to play against record champions El Sharkia of Egypt on Wednesday in a tie that will determine who will top Pool B between the two giants.
We prepare for whatever results that come. I mean, as a coach, I've psyched them, but it's unfortunate we could not win. We came in to actually win, at least so we can have 6 points. But it's a game. It's a game. Sitting at the bench, I was just a bit confused why the guys were sitting back, because I keep screaming at them, we need to keep the ball and pass the ball. Our opponents were tired, but we are better off when we have possession and passing. And that's what we are good at. So I actually don't know why when we win the ball, then they want to do an I mean, it's a game. It's a psyche of the boys, and moving forward, it's something we're going to work on. So that at least under pressure, you need to be sober, you need to compose yourself, you need to have confidence to pass the ball around.
Terrain, we are playing with the host team. They are well versed, well acclimatized with the weather. You could tell that we were very exhausted, being our very first game. So the final quarter, you could tell that we were fatigue came in, and we had to now dig very deep to at least get a result. We could have lost in the final minute, but thank God we had the willpower and the determination to stay in the game and to pick a draw.
Meanwhile, the national women's basketball team, the Kenya Lionesses, will later on tonight start their campaign of defending their Africa Zone 5 women's basketball title in Kampala, Uganda. Lionesses will be targeting to qualify into the FIBA Afrobasket Championships for the second successive time, as well as this year's Africa Games when they take part in the tournament that acts as a double qualifier where only the winner qualifies for both the tournaments. According to Lionesses head coach George Mayenga, they expect tough competition from their opponents whom he says are well prepared, adding that the pressure is on them in their title defense, however remaining confident over registering good results. The tournament, which is expected to culminate on Sunday, involves Kenya, Uganda, Egypt, Rwanda and South Sudan.
I want to see every light, every cell phone, whatever you got, light it up.
We can only wish